Question 2. Cheryl has some money to invest for 5 years. Account A pays 1% per year simple interest. Account B pays 1% per year compound interest. Why is account B a better choice? Explain. Now, it's a 1-mark question. Please don't give me a long, complicated explanation. You don't even need to show it algebraically. What do you realize here? This is the same percentage. That is important. Okay? If it's the same percentage, then you can directly compare, right? Since the interest per annum is the same, account B, which pays compound interest, will pay out more than simple interest, as the interest amount, as the interest earned is also compounded. That's it. Don't give me a long, complicated explanation using algebra. Let the amount of money invested be X, and then go and find that 1% in simple interest over X is more than is absolutely not necessary, because all they ask you to do is to explain. Okay, part B. Marcus invests in an account that pays 1.8% per year simple interest. He leaves the money in the account for 6 years. At the end of 6 years, there is 1385 in the account. Calculate the amount of money that Marcus invested. You realize that this is just simple interest and they give you 3 marks. Very 3 marks here. What is your simple interest formula? You learned that in Sec 1. It's given as I equals to PRT. Your interest is equal to your principal multiplied by your interest rate multiplied by the amount of time that it is calculated across. So the formula gives you interest, but you should know that this amount here is not the interest only. This is the total sum. Correct? So let P be the principal sum so we know that P plus I is equal to 1385. Agree? Okay, let P be the principal sum and I be the interest. Be very clear when you're doing your national exam. Don't lose marks of presentation for no reason. So we know P plus I is 1385. And therefore, what is P? P is just P, right? What is I? I is your P times your interest rate. What's your interest rate? 1.8% means 1.8 out of 100. How many years is this? It's 6 years. Equals to 1385. So this is the question. This is the reason why the question is 3 marks, because actually not so straightforward to go and calculate. Because they give you the total amount of money. Okay? From here, what you need to do is to factorize out the P. So you will get P, which is 1 plus 6 times 1.8 over 100, right? Is equal to 1385. And therefore your principal sum is equal to 1385 divided by 1 plus 6 times 1.8 of 100. Which will give you 1250. It's an exact value. So write it as an exact value. Okay? You want to calculate whether you are correct. It is 1.6%, 1.8% over 6 years, right? So you take your principal sum, which is 1250 times 1.8 or 100, and times 6 years, you get your interest 135, right? 135 plus 1250, do you get 1385? You do. So you know your answer is correct. That's how you work backwards to check whether your answer is correct if you want to. How do you do it? This what if you don't know how the formula? Good question. Why you don't know the formula? The first question I asked is how come you don't know the formula? You can still let X be you can still let P be the principal sum, right? Then you know that you can take 1.8 out of 100, right? Times 6 years times X, right? Or P, right? This will give you the interest. You should know how to calculate the interest, right? Make sense? You let P be the principal sum, this will calculate the interest, right? So this will give you, for example, 6 times 1.8 out of 100. You will get 0.108p, which is what the calculator shows, right? So this is your interest. Then your 1385 is equal to your 0.108p plus your original p, right? So you realize that actually it's the same idea. It's just that you go and calculate it in a more manual manner. But you have to know how to find interest lah. And you do it algebraically by letting P be your principal sum and finding it in terms of algebra. Right? Actually, this and this is the exact same equation if you realize. This and this is the exact same equation. Right? Then you will get 1.108p is equal to 1385, and therefore p is equal to 1385 divided by 1.108. Okay, it's not that they're different. It's just that in this case, I work backwards this way, but if you are not sure how to work backwards, then you just calculate forward using p. It's fine. Okay? C is the one that you have no choice. C is the one that you must apply your formula because it's a compound interest, but they give you the compound interest formula. So there's no reason for you not to know how to use it. They ask you to calculate the total interest earned, not the total sum, because the total sum is given. This is your total sum. So what do we know about compound interest formula? A, which is your total amount, is equal to P times 1 plus 1.2 over 100. And in this case, compounded for 4 years per annum, right? So it's to the power of 4. This is what you should have, correct? Not? This one, you apply your compound interest formula and sub in the values accordingly. Okay? So this means 4719.92 is equal to, sorry, again, you need to give yourself the statement. Let P be the principal sum. So this is equal to P times 1 plus 1.2 over 100 to the power of 4. This one is a lot more straightforward, right? Because once you get here, you can just directly divide by what is in the, basically divide away the bracket, right? Therefore, P is just equals to 4719.92 divided by 1 plus 1.2 out of 100 to the power of 4. Then press the entire thing into your calculator. Please do not forget the bracket. A lot of you forget the bracket, then your power doesn't apply properly. Okay, again, you are meant to get an exact value if you look at the answer here. So it's supposed to be exactly 4500. Okay. Calculate the total amount of interest Tan earned over the 4 years. So I want to find interest, not the principal sum. So I found the principal sum, which is 4500, and therefore the interest earned. I take my final amount minus the principal sum, and that will give me 219.92. Okay. So actually, both applications of simple and compound interest, they decide to test this year, and you realize they test it for a total of 6 marks. If you really think about it, very free marks here. All right, let's move on. D, for 4 marks, also a very simple question. Exchange rate and a bit of rate involved. So it's a rate related question, which is kind of funny because later on at the back, you'll see that there's a freaking 11-mark question on rate. So they test a lot of rate in this paper. Helen hires a car during a business trip in France, drives a total of 745 km. The car uses fuel at an average rate of 5.8 liters per 100 km. She pays 134.5 for car hire and 1.52 per liter of fuel. And then she pays using her credit card and therefore is charged a 1.5% fee for currency conversion. The exchange rate between Sing dollars and euro is $1 to 0.66 euros. Calculate the total amount that she is charged in Sing dollars. Correct to the nearest cent. If they want correct to the nearest cent, means your working step should show me to 3DP, not 2. Okay, but first, what should you do? Calculate everything in euro first. So count the total charge in euro. So what's the total charge in euro? There's the cost of hiring the car, right? There's also 1.52 per liter of fuel. You need to go and calculate how much fuel she used. So amount of fuel used. You can find it separately, it's not wrong. But you can also find it together if you prefer. How to find the amount of fuel used? Every 100 km is 5.8 liters, right? So it will be 745 out of 100 times 5.8. Or 5.8 out of 100 times 745. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing. You will get 43.21 liters of fuel used. And therefore, I can now find the total cost in euros is equal to 134.5 plus 43.21 liters multiplied by 1.52 euro per liter. 134.5 plus 43.21 liters multiplied by 1.52 euro per liter. 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 1.52 euro you will get 200.1792. It's an exact value. I will leave it an exact value first. You will know that obviously euro cannot be calculated like that, but this is a working step, so it's perfectly fine to leave it as it is like this. It's the reason why if you ever go to visit a money changer, right, you will look at their notice board, right? Actually, their currency exchange rates is all 4 decimal places, 5 decimal places one. Even though money can only be converted to 2 decimal places, right? It's for increased accuracy, which is perfectly fine. So this is your total cost in euro. So now you need to convert back to Sing dollar. So total cost in Sing dollar, including the conversion fee. How do we apply the conversion fee? It's a fixed 1.5%, right? 1.5% means it is 101.5 out of 100 of the original. Okay, the other day I did the question, I accidentally go and multiply by 101.5. Then that one is 100 times of the original. Please be very careful. So to calculate the extra 1.5%, it's just 101.5 out of 100 of the original amount. And then we take this 200.1792 because the you must understand logic. In Sing dollar, is it greater or is it less? The value. Euro is stronger than Sing dollar, right? That means if I calculate, if it's 200 something euro, it will be less or more than 200 something euro, Sing dollar. It will be more, right? Because Sing dollar is weaker. So it will never make sense to multiply by 0.66. Because if you multiply by 0.66, the number becomes smaller, not larger. So your currency exchange, even if you don't understand specifically why it works that way, you apply a bit of logic to it. It has to be divided by the fraction so that you get a larger number because your Sing dollar value must be larger, not smaller than euro value. Okay, the 101.5 out of 100 already accounts for the currency conversion fee. Therefore, you just press the whole thing into your calculator. Oops. And you will get 307.851 in 3DP. And then 307.85 to the nearest cent, which is what the question wants. Okay. So apply a bit of logic if you're not sure whether to times or to divide. If 1 Sing dollar is 0.66, it means that your Sing dollar is weaker, right? So the value in Sing dollar, the absolute number should be larger than the euro value because your Sing dollar is weaker. That's why you divide by 0.66. You don't times 0.66. But that is 4 marks. The first 2 questions are really very 3 marks. Why? Because they kill you at the back. That's life. Let's move on.